Hello everybody, this is Diane. I thought you might like to see a tour of my crafting space, my craft room, my office, some of my storage, since I have done my big de-stash and everything is kind of picked up and organized. So actually I'm in the living room right now, because right there is my craft room door and there is my office. But right here, next to my craft room door, is this stand with these boxes that I use for storage. I used to use the bottom set of drawers I had linens in it, and also the smaller drawers had inventory that I had in my shop. I'm not selling that many physical items in my shop anymore. So what I did was I removed chenille and linens that were in these two boxes, and so everything that's in these boxes are supplies. They're not things that I'm going to sell, they're just my craft supplies. The two white tins on top are now just my personal storage. So in the drawer that says number 1 is little golden books and little small children's books. I fit them all in there. I have chenille and linens and embroidered things in the rest of the drawers. And then we can enter the craft room. I did this video yesterday, but I tipped my camera to the side. I use just my Canon camera, and of course I got a better view if I tipped my camera to the side, but that meant the video was sideways. So I'm doing it again today. I'm not going to go into a great deal of detail. This is my desk, my crafting area. That right there is where I sit most of the time. And then, of course, I just switch chairs if I want to use my sewing machine. I have added these little, they're actually picture ledges, but they're by command. They just stick to the wall and they hold up really well. And I've added some command posts there to hold those little baskets up. But let's start right here next to my door. This is a tower of inks, and I can, since my chair is on wheels, I can access them. I don't use them a lot. They're my Stampin' Up! Inks. So I can get to them easily. And the drawer unit that they are sitting on just has just all kinds of paper ephemera that I might need. Like I said, I don't want to go into a lot of detail, but I've rearranged some of that stuff too, so those drawers aren't very full right at the moment. The two cases right down there are, the clear one is stamps, and most of them are Tim Holtz sets, and they're all in little photo cases in those boxes, and they're close enough to my chair I can grab them easily. I put them there because they're stamps that I love to use. And then in the colorful one, those are little photo boxes, again full of ephemera that is sorted into categories. So again, it is very handy for me to get to. I'm going to carefully sit down here so I can talk about some other things over here. Carefully, I mean, because I don't want to make you dizzy. This tray unit is something new that I didn't show in my last tour. It is called a project cart, I think is what it's called. I found it on Amazon when I was looking for something. I didn't even know there was such a thing as this. But it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 trays on it, which come off easily. And I thought that I could use it for putting my signatures on as I work on them. I usually have at least 2 journals going at a time, and I have signatures here and there cluttering up my table, or and getting mixed up. So I thought this would help me keep track of them better, and it really does work. I like it a lot. I'm really haven't really started on a project yet, except printing some things. So there's just different stuff on it right now. But on the top tray, there's the remote for my fan. That is where I decided to use, I would put my stamps and inks and stencils and things like that on that top tray, so they're not cluttering my table and they're very easy for me to grab. The second tray has, right now, it has the little box with little bits of ephemera and the pages, digital journal pages that I printed for my design team project. The third tray are pages that I just printed today for upcoming something different. And then right now I put my paper cutters down on the bottom tray. Nope, they're not even on the bottom tray. There's Tyvek down there right now because I moved it out of where it was, and that's where it's going to sit for now until I decide to do something different. Then my paper cutters, and I have my corrugator up there with the blue handle on it. I don't use that much, and I thought if I got it down, because it was up on a high shelf, thought if I got it down I might use it. I don't know. And right there is my scoreboard. And tucked behind, or like up against the wall, is my Tim Holtz glass mat. This is my lamp that you're looking at with the pole here. I have to move that out of my way whenever I want to open these drawers, but these are paper drawers. So they just have a lot of scrapbook paper, and this is the ledger paper and lined paper that I like, even scraps of it that I use to put on the backs of journal cards and things. So I have that real handy. Might as well finish the down underneath my table here while we're here. I moved my embossing gun into here. It's plugged in. All I have to do is pull it out. I just don't close the drawer all the way. And the inks that I access all of the time, and my little eyelets are in here, my reinforcements, because I use them a lot. Then I just have stencils. I moved my stencils over here so I don't have to get up and open my closet door to find stencils, because I use them quite a bit too. This just has baby wipes and a stamp cleaner and my tools. It's got room for other stuff in there. I don't know what I'll put in there yet. And alcohol inks and cups and gloves and stuff for using alcohol inks. There's a mess of cords there because it's got my lamp plugged in and my heat gun, and there's a power strip back there somewhere, I think. And then in this unit, I used to have all my really special 12x12 pads like Stamperia and Graphic 45 and Tim Holtz, and I still have some of that in there, but I needed this prime real estate for things that I access while I'm crafting, so I put all my woodblock journaling type of stamps in there, so I'll actually use them. These were in the office, in the closet, in a drawer that was hard to get to, and I love to use those stamps. And here we have words and phrases, and I haven't been using them because, again, they were very hard to get to. And this is alphabets and numbers. And then I have cardstock, patterned cardstocks, and 2 drawers are patterned and 1 of solid 12x12 cardstock. And down here I have scraps of like the cut-off pieces of scrapbook paper and coffee dyed paper, and I have them. There's 3 varying sizes of containers in there, so I can sort them into different size scraps. And then in the milk crate next to it are some zippered pouches that have my coffee dyed papers and scraps of coffee dyed papers. And right in front of that is just some garbage bags and baby wipes. So now this is where I'll be working. I use this galvanized container. It will fit 12 by 12 paper in it. It's 12 inches wide, or I can fit 12-inch paper in it anyway. But right now in the back is pieces of cardboard, Tyvek, folders, cardstock, like white and cream cardstock that I would use all the time, and some music paper that I use for collaging all the time. And I should show you, these are the ledges that I was talking about, the picture ledges. I have some punches that I use a lot. That recipe box up there, it's a vintage metal recipe box, has coffee dyed index cards. And then I have 2 Tim Holtz tins that just have little things in it, and a stapler, and that pretty little blue dish up there has some extra paper clips, And then I have these stacking containers that contain small items like paper clips, safety pins, and just miscellaneous metal pieces. So they're very handy for me. This letter holder I've had for a long time, and right now it has little bits of the neutral cardstocks that I use. I can back little pieces and make paper clips, and I just need to have them handy. But I will put cutoffs of coffee dyed paper and scrapbook paper on the whatever project I'm working on right in there. And back in that corner is just things I don't access very often. And in this dish I have my stamps that are like this. And I have my tools right in front of me. I have pens and pencils, I have my foam brushes, my brayer, my brushes for inking, scissors, rulers, cutters, bone folders. This is my light right there. And my glues and glue sticks and red line tape. My mat is right here where I do my work. Right now, I have a container you're going to see, just a little basket that I put scraps of coffee dyed paper and other bits that I want to stamp on and make ephemera. So I did a little bit of that yesterday. I had several of these kind of books that have perforated, and they're vintage. I got 3 different ones, 3 different three different flea markets. And so I used up one of the little books by just stamping these little things, and then when I want to use them I can just take them apart and use them. So that was a little fun project to do after I worked so hard all week destashing. And over here I have my tablet that I'll watch YouTube on sometimes, and my drawers, I put ephemera bits in these drawers, small, medium, and large, when I'm working on a project. And then I have 3 shelves up here. So there are tags, there's distress oxides in their tins, and distress inks. This turnabout with tools that I want to grab, and behind it is some guest checks and stuff like that. My whatever these things are called, my corner rounders, and this thing, Big Bite. My binders of ephemera and postage stamps, and my washi tape. And then up here I have index cards, tags, time cards, recipe cards, journal cards, printable journal cards. My seam binding is in this drawer. This is a nice wooden box that I got recently at a yard sale, or at a rummage. Why do I keep saying that? A flea market. And it has index cards that aren't coffee dyed, and colored index cards, and the tabbed index cards, things like that. And that is a sewing machine drawer. And it has playing cards and postcards. Up there I have envelopes, like mini envelopes, and that box there has my handmade ephemera waiting to be put into a journal, and I have embroidery floss and my fibers and twines and stuff up there. This basket is where I've started to save pieces of cellophane. This rolled twine because I didn't have any other place to put it. The old cellophane and these bits that come off of the spines of old books, so I can use them in collage. And then next to that is wax paper and parchment paper, and that is a basket of fringes, fancy trims. If you can see, I don't know if you'll be able to because the sun is shining through there, but my pretty glassware is up there in that little window. Now the sewing area, got my wastebasket right in between these 2 sections. I have some command hooks up there with the baskets. These are fabric strips, fabric yo-yos, pom-poms. This is both new and vintage pom-poms, and it's a really fun basket. These are some cards I got from some of you at Christmas time. There's some eyelet in that basket. I have a couple more of those ledge shelves, and they just have little containers with scraps of fabric, little bits, and this one has small pieces of lace, like strips of lace that will fit in that basket, and fabrics that I use for clusters and things, so I need them to be handy. And here's a project that I'm going to be working on next, quilted covers. And back here I have a box where my fabric flips are, some small crocheted medallions like that were cut off of doilies, some vintage floral appliques, little bits that I will use in my fabric things. And this container here, I keep it empty. These don't need to be in there. Those are my small bits of fabrics and laces. But this is where I will put laces and trims that I pull for whatever project I'm working on, instead of having them just spread all over the table like they used to be. I put them in a neat little pile, and then chaos ensues once you start crafting, so at least I can contain them in there. Sorry, I'm looking for my chair so I don't fall on the floor. Underneath there's some wooden boxes that have quilt batting and felt and larger pieces of muslin, so I can get into that when my smaller pieces that are more accessible run out. There's my sewing machine foot pedal that I don't use because I have this knee. Well, actually I have the button, start and stop button, so I'm not using the foot pedal right now. And I have my sewing supplies here. There's my bobbins and threads, and here I have rickrack. That one I think is empty except for my instruction book. And in the next two drawers I have feed sack fabric and then vintage pieces of cotton fabric that were cut into shapes by people who were going to quilt. And so I have different shapes down there, and some fabric flips that Sarah made for me that are kind of too big for the other box that I keep them in. This colorful, oh, some of you wanted to see my sewing machine too, so here it is. It's a Necky, which I think she said is made by Janome. This colorful unit has laces. So each drawer has, I know which drawer to open for the type of lace that I want. And so that includes my spools from Hobby Lobby. This one up here has rosettes and specialty things. Rosette and ruffle trim. This is my gimp and some woven like cloth belts that I've picked up at flea markets that I like to use for straps around a journal. This has fabric. So I used to have these in a basket, like a container, like one of those little containers down there. But it was more clutter on my table, so I cleared enough space in these drawers that I could have fabric in there. And then I have wide lace in here. And these are mostly vintage laces that I've picked up at flea markets, and I just wind them around cards and stick them in here. So I have 2 drawers of that, and then down here is muslin and cheesecloth and neutral things like that. In those baskets, I don't have a shelf over my sewing machine anymore, so I just stack them right there. I don't like it, but that's the way it is. And it just has embroidered bits, like linens that were cut apart, so I have little bits of embroidery in there for collages and clusters. And I have lace fabrics and lace appliques, or pieces of lace that I can cut into applique. And up here, this is the basket I was talking about that has all the scrap pieces that I want to make ephemera. So I'm going to start doing some of that like I just did over there. And I'm going to get rid of some of that because it's just getting bigger and I can't keep up. So I'm going to make some ephemera and then I will clean it out so it's maybe half full. This is my box of supplies for binding journals. And this is my crochet section. So I had the little basket of crochet of the small pieces over there, but these are still small pieces and medium size in this drawer. We got a lot of filet crochet in this drawer and some other crochet medallions and some slightly bigger. And then these are my specialty scrapbook paper: Stamperia, Kaiser Craft, Tim Holtz, Stampin' Up, Graphic 45, Authentique. In here I have my paper dolls, my vintage paper dolls, and some of them are the Dover books, or yeah, I think I got them from Dover, but anyway, they're paper doll books that I can use, cut the dolls up and use them in journals. And then this is one of my collections for making journals. This is the Woodlands collection. And my goal is to make these journals. So when I make Woodlands journals, I'll probably make 2 and then dispose of the remaining items in a whatever, a bundle or a kit, whatever I have left. Put them in my shop and then not do all these collections anymore. This one is, oh, it's circus. I have to change my labels. No wonder I couldn't find my circus box. I have to change my labels because I didn't take the time. I started doing that while I was, when I first started organizing, but it was taking me forever. So I'm going to do the labeling this week. Here, I'm going into more detail than I intended, so I'm just going to be a little quicker now. There's ribbon in here and my extra blades, cutter blades, and adhesives there. These are braids and fancy trims. Braids and boho, the label says. Scrap cardstock, buttons. This is velvet ribbon and embroidered ribbon. These are background stamps. These are more things that I pulled out of my office that were in the closet. Background stamps I use a lot. And decorative stamps. I have not been using these very much, but now I will. This is people and animals and flowers and fruit and vintage. So yes, I do have a lot of stamps, but I love them. On my door of the closet, I have this shoe holder that has paper punches, shaped paper punches, and little things over here that I don't use that much. Flowers and little sticky dots and things like that I want occasionally, but I don't need them. Oh, and right here is my mother of pearl hand that I got at the flea market that I use when I'm taking photographs of my journals to hold the pages down. I had to find a safe space for it, so I thought that would work. Now, in my closet, I have these little push button lights that help. I need to change the battery because they're getting dim. So, but it helps me see down here in these recesses. And I'm not going to go through everything. I'm not going to open all these drawers. But on top, in this corner up there, the pink basket is Christmas trims and fabrics. Sorry, my door is squeaky. The Christmas stamps, books, Christmas books, and Christmas papers and ephemera. Page protectors and file folders, my markers, my bind it all equipment, my beading equipment. This is my spray box for when I'm using spray inks, and some more baby wipes. This is my collage basket, so it's actually a stack of baskets. It has magazine images and other things that I want to use in collage. And then this drawer unit, this is where I put my tripod when I'm not using it. This drawer unit has magazine pages and pages from some books. Now, I did get rid of a lot of book pages, and I condensed some of my book pages because I have another unit over here with book pages. So some of these drawers are now empty. But I have art book pages and miscellaneous. And then I have stickers and the smaller size paper, scrapbook paper. And this is just unusual materials I put on the label, and it's grunge board and grunge paper, craft tex, cork, things like that. and I just put in here some pages that were left over that are kind of decorated, and a portfolio that I started making, and things that need to be finished. And then I have empty drawers down there. Yay, empty drawers. Over here, I've got some large chipboard here, and this container that has big pages that I can put in big journals. And then chipboard that I use for my spines, and book pages, children's book pages, craft book pages, my math and mechanical, and there's like a couple categories in each drawer for some of them. And so yeah, that's all that's in here is book pages. My printer's down, my little label maker's down here because I jammed up the last cartridge of labels that I had. So I either have to figure out how to fix it, or just, I'm going shopping tomorrow, so I might have to buy some more. Turn these lights off so I don't, sometimes I get in here and I forget to turn the lights off, and that's why the battery needs to be replaced. Oh, I forgot this thing in the middle. This is all vintage stuff up here. Vintage greeting cards, letters, checks, receipts, stuff I find at the flea markets, and I've shown you in videos. And I have it divided up into categories with these. And this is something I didn't go through in destash. So this might happen, but not right away because I'm tired of destashing. And then I have these drawers that I can put miscellaneous things in. Pretty pictures, if I want something for a cover image, or just I'm looking for a pretty picture. These are the pads, the sticky note pads and notepads. Empty drawer. This is photo pockets, junk for making a junky junk journal. This is things I want to make ephemera with. Cards and envelopes, game sheets, vintage receipts, and bingo. And I don't think I went through, I went through all that stuff not too long ago, so I didn't go through it again this time. Box of envelopes here. Got some extra staples and things. This is where my embossing powder and supplies are. My eyelets, fancy scissors, stapler, tape. This is my special stamp drawer, so it has my label stamps. 2 of them that won't fit in this drawer are up here. And then this book belongs to, and where I put my signature and the story begins. A couple of vintage stamps are in there. This is borders and little words that I want to keep handy. And my acrylic blocks. And this whole unit here are the cling and polymer stamps. So this drawer is ladies, both modern and vintage. Top drawer doesn't want to close because it gets pressure from this being on it. This is funky, so it has Dina Wakley and things like that. Journaling stamps. Vintage, oh, and also mixed media is in that journaling box. Vintage and flowers, and words and alphas. So these drawers were pretty packed, and you can see there's room, lots of room here. And so there's more room in these drawers than there was because I did do a destash. This cart is on wheels, and I bring it next to me when I'm crafting, and I use this surface for gluing. And inside are throwaway papers and books and book pages that I can use when I'm using my glue stick. And in that section are paper punches that I want to use more frequently. They are borders and the tag punches and circles and things like that. And down there, that's stuff I don't use a lot, but my envelope punch board is in there, and like a quilting ruler, and this thing that I forgot I had, which I want to, oops, sorry, I want to try, and it's a wavy paper cutter that I picked up for $2 at a yard sale. And we're almost done in here. I have my fan here, and this got moved, rearranged a bit. I used to have mixed media stuff and art supplies, and there's still some of that in here, but I moved some of it. So there's my inks, my brushes. Those are my spray inks. My brushes, media supplies like Mod Podge and gesso, and this is mixed media tools that I might want. And this is paint, markers. There's different kinds of like watercolor crayons, watercolor pencils, just media stuff. And then this is boho fabric and the special fabrics I don't want to just use for any journal. I got these for something special, or somebody sent them. Someone sent me some of these, and they deserve a journal of their own, so cover or theme or whatever. And then I have my vintage stuff. Well, it's not all vintage. These are vintage sheets and sugar sacks and stuff like that. And this is newer fabric that I buy for the spines. I don't always use that heavier fabric for spines, but vintage tablecloths and little other vintage things here, patchwork pieces. Oh, sorry. And then I have quilts, and these are more fabrics that I can use for covers. Okay, now we're going to leave the craft room and step out into my alcove. And I have a bookshelf here. So that's my bind it all wires. That brown box, I'm going to buy some nice pretty boxes that I can put those things into, and that is my private memorabilia, just things that I want to keep for myself. I intended to put them in Smashbooks, and I just haven't, so I'm going to put those in pretty boxes. And these are vintage file folders up here, or dividers that have metal tabs and stuff like that. They're really cool. And some art journaling magazines. Some books, botanical books, and school books. These are my vintage postal stamps that I like to use when I remember. This stack is larger books and book covers that I will use for Smashbooks and glue books. This little basket here has book covers. These I just set in there so they're not in there properly, but they're in there like that so I can see what I have. See lots of all those Reader's Digest that I just bought. And I've already used at least 2 of them. And these little drawers I'm not going to go through, but they have vintage, small vintage pieces like the vocabulary cards and tickets and the Denison stickers that I find, and just little things. See, that one doesn't even have a category. It's just small vintage pieces. And here's where I move some of my art journaling stuff. So I've got some art journals right here. This is a box of vintage notebooks and journals and planners, and there's an autograph book. So it's just small vintage papers, and I just knocked some stuff down, but these are all collections. So these are what I want to not have anymore, but these are journals that I am planning on making, either because I really want to, I'm excited about the theme, or because I had purchased a digital kit and I want to make sure I use a digital kit. So I've got music and owls and Wizard of Oz, faith. So there's all of these have a different theme, but I'm hoping to eventually only have a very few of those binders of those packets, I mean. Down here is art paper, art journals, and things like that that used to be in that other room. And then I've got more book covers in there. Yep, I have enough. This has calendars. This is piano roll paper. And this is more collections that needed more space. So that's sewing. I have sewing papers and book pages and stuff, and sewing ephemera. And this is boho stuff. And these envelopes have pieces that I cut out of vintage books and magazines, and they're sorted into categories. And then this is a book that I'm making for myself, and I started it a long time ago, and eventually I will finish it and get it out of my way. And that is my big map pages. Over here is a teddy bear that I made years ago from an old ratty quilt. And he's jointed, and I will probably keep him forever. This is a book that my friend Susan made for me. And this is a doll that my friend Yvonne made for me, and she made it with red hair for me and a teddy bear dress with pink, and because she knows I love pink and I like teddy bears. More vintage stuff, green stamps, slides, flashcards, milk bottle caps. More, there's brads in there, napkins in there, and that's been destashed considerably. This is elastics and closures, more fabric in 2 drawers, but I did destash some of that. And these are folders and little pocket pouches that have digital kits that I have already printed. So we'll bypass the bathroom door there. And this is the office, and I'll try to go more quickly in here. So this little cart here is where I would store stuff that I was going to put in my shop. It's pretty empty right now. The stuff in the bottom is not stuff I'm selling. It's papers and things I've torn out of magazines that I'm going to sort through. I'm going to be doing that in the evenings this week and get that pile dealt with. And some of it is ideas that I will use for journals. And this is seasonal stuff. I've got autumn and apples and Valentine's stuff there that I didn't want to destash right now, but that's about all I have left. And what's that down there? Oh, Christmas stuff. This is Christmas stuff. So I didn't have any other place for my piano, so that's here in my office. And so this unit here, this drawer, set of drawers, is all piano music. And over here is all papers for journaling. And I'm very happy with how this paper storage unit looks, because I tidied it and organized it and got rid of stuff, and I just love how nice and clean it looks. And it's all categorized. I'm not going to go into all the categories of paper, but there's colored cardstock and lined paper and vintage paper and mulberry and vellum, and anything I want is right there. And I have all my little bits, and I did not go through those during this destash. I have done in the past, so that will probably happen again. And this set of drawers was also used for inventory, so I had library pockets and tags and small things that I would sell, and I'm not selling them anymore. So that's empty right now. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that. And on top of it is oversized paper. This is the folding table that I set up when I need to pack orders or when my grandson is in here doing his schoolwork. I just move it out of my way wherever I need to be. And I have this pretty white desk that I got at a yard sale, and it's perfect for my Cricut and my Big Shot. And then the drawers just contain the items that I need for the Cricut and the Big Shot. So my cutting dies and things like that, little tools that I need are in there. I've got some embossing folders in this binder and my Cricut cartridges in there. And my Cricut mats hang right there. But I need to set up the table when I'm doing these things so that I can work, put my papers on the mat and pick things off of the mat and restock it. And so I always have to set that table up if I'm doing anything major here. You can see I was doing some stuff and didn't put everything away. Here I have a little shelf unit that has some of my smaller journals. Some of them I made, some of them I purchased or received. And some are used and some are not used yet. This unit has my scale, and vintage photos in here, my farm collection in here for making farm journals. This is my cookbook journal stuff and my sewing journal stuff. It's got sewing patterns and big stuff. And then wallpaper is down there. And my printer papers. And then, oh, that's the chair that I use when I have my table set up. Then my closet. Again, I have these little lights hanging in here. I have some smash books that are full. These are my current glue books. I just take that basket down and pick out which glue book or collage book I want, and then I just have miscellaneous stuff up there. And on top of this bookshelf, I put these 2 crates, and these are journals and recipe books and domestic arts books. This used to be full of recipe books and binders, but I've destashed and used enough that I'm starting to fill in the spaces with my journals. These are some more of the journals that are mine that I can work in. There's my Lost Child's Garden of Verses journal that I found during this destash, so it's there waiting for me to get to it and finish making it. Now these are the drawers that had my wooden block stamps, so a lot of these drawers are now empty. So that one's empty. I still have some stamps in here that I don't use that much. These are the scripture stamps, chocolate stamps, and I don't know what happened to my cooking stamps. I had stamps that had wooden spoons and stuff, mixer, and I'm not sure where they went. So they should be in there with it should be a cooking set of stamps. Fantasy has mermaids and Wizard of Oz and castles and fairies, music, and this is all stuff that needs to be scanned. It's the linens that I want to scan into my computer so I can make digitals. So that I just put them there temporarily because I had emptied it. And then the other drawers are empty. And these are just things for cooking journals because I was making cooking journals and then I was going to make a couple more, and then I had other things I had to do, so I put the cooking journals on hold. So all the stuff is still sitting there waiting for me to get back to it. And all I have left to show you are my shipping supplies. So this little corner over here has my shipping supplies. That's just envelopes. I don't even use most of the stuff in those top drawers anymore, but that's my packing tape. These little bags, poly bags that I use to package cards and little things. Tissue paper that I wrap my journals and other things in. Again, things that like plastic bags that I'll wrap some of my stuff in. And my smaller envelopes. And back here I have 2 sizes of cardboard boxes that I get from Amazon for my smash books and glue books, and then for my regular journals. And a variety of sizes of envelopes, both padded and unpadded, and I keep a supply of the flat rate items in here, packaging items in case I need them, which I did a lot this past week. So I've got to order more padded envelopes for sure. So that takes care of the tour. And I hope that you found some ideas. I'm just showing you my really nicely organized paper before I leave. I hope you got some ideas for organizing some of your items. And I'm looking forward to having some crafty time. Tomorrow I'm going to be busy with a lot of other things, but maybe Tuesday I'll have some crafty time. So thanks for watching. Have a creative day today, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.